Hello friends, and welcome to the Woodworker's Journey. My name is Andy Cotterill, and if you've been watching my previous videos on YouTube or checked out my webpage, you'll know that I've been woodworking for about a year. I've been doing a bunch of little things, small projects here and there. I've been trying as many different tools as I can, hand tools, power tools. I've gotten quite a bit of experience. However, one area that I have completely neglected is wood turning. That being said, I knew I wanted to do it at some point down the line. I just put it on the back burner at the start. Well, during that year, I did spend a lot of time online watching the secondary marketplaces like Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, which is like the Canadian Craigslist, looking for used lathes and just seeing what they went for and seeing what was out there, just to give myself a good understanding of what I was looking for. So when the time came and I felt I was ready for a lathe, which is now clearly, I was online about a week or so ago and this popped up late at night, and thankfully my patience paid off and I got this beautiful variable speed wood lathe, 23 HSS tools, which is high strength steel tools, some calipers, a copying attachment, all for $300 from a little town really close to where I live. So you can imagine I'm just thrilled. So I've never wood turned before. I'm not even sure if I've ever actually touched a lathe before. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some wheels on the legs to make this a little more mobile in my shop. I'm going to give it a good cleaning, and then if I have time, I'm going to wood turn something. So I guess now I'll be a wood turner. I have no expectations right now. I do plan on using the tools that came with it. I think they're in good shape. I think they're decently sharp, but I don't really know. I have no experience in that, so this is part of the process. I do have sharpening solutions. I got some good advice from Rob Summerlin at Woodsley Summercraft, and I got myself a low-speed grinder, a King Canada low-speed grinder. I'm just not going to do that yet. I want to know what it's like to wood turn with these tools as they are. So I'll have a good baseline to what a dull tool is, assuming these are dull. Then once I sharpen them, I'll have a better understanding of the difference between a dull tool and a sharp tool. So you need to know these kind of things. I'm excited to get started, so I hope you enjoy following me, and we'll see how it goes. So here I am taking a look at the chuck that came with the lathe. It's a little bit rusty, a little bit of surface rust, but it seems like it's in good shape, nice and solid. The chucks I've seen modern turners use on YouTube have one spot where you turn, I don't know what you call it, like a chuck key, and all the vices, all the jaws move at once. This one seems to move individually, so each arm moves. So I'll have to figure that out. It took me a second to figure out the different little I don't even know what all these things are called. The thing in the back to loosen the chuck from the lathe. So I'm taking it off and I'm going to be putting on the live center because that's what you use for spindle turning, which is what I'll be trying first. Give it a quick cleaning and then I'll be putting the spindle on it. And we'll get back to that in a minute. You'll see there's something interesting about it that I didn't really pay attention to. That caused me a little bit of grief later, but not too much. I figured it out. So I put it on, then I have a piece of hard maple that I had as an offcut. I've got several of them from a previous project, actually from the Valentine's tree project that you might have seen. And I put the live center on. So to find the center, you just cross from corner to corner, and then X marks the spot. You take an awl and you just poke a little hole right in the center. You're just leaving an indentation that allows your live centers to know where to go. So I put that on there. Then the tool rest or tool mount, whatever it's called, I've read and seen that it's supposed to be midway up the tool, the piece you're going to be doing. That took a little bit of issue, a little bit of practice for me. You saw that I spun it around a few times by hand just to make sure that the wood didn't touch the rest. So once again, this is my first time, this is my first ever cut, and I'm keeping my right wrist, my right hand close to my side tight. And I have a loose grip on the top, on the metal part, up on the tool mount. And I'm making my first ever cut on a wood lathe. It seemed like I was doing it for a long minute, but you'll see me laugh, or you might even hear me laugh a little bit now when I see just how little I took off. There you go, yeah, that's pretty funny. So clearly, time, there's a time differential when you're actually doing it. So I go back to it, and right now I'm just using a rough and gouge, and I'm just playing, like I said, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just testing the waters, moving things, trying to see what angles work best and how things work. And you'll start to see a couple, well, the main issue I was having with the lathe at the start, and that the piece, the wood stock would stop. It would just stop like that. It happened several times, and I wasn't immediately concerned. I assumed that it was the tool I was using was not sharp, that it was dull and it was causing the wood to stop for some reason. That didn't turn out to be the case. What turned out to be the case was, I'll show you a close-up in just a minute, but the live center on the headstock, which is on my left in the video, it has the point, so the live center point that goes into the wood. Then it also has these exaggerated teeth that are meant to dig into the wood piece, and I didn't do that. I didn't put enough pressure on it. So basically right now the wood piece is just floating freely on that tiny little point. So anytime it encountered resistance in the form of the metal tool, it would just stop the piece of wood from turning. You'll see it in, I think, about 10 seconds. I'll show you a close-up. But still, I was getting a little bit done. But, yeah, as you can tell, well, no, you can't, but I was starting to get a little bit concerned. I was hoping I didn't have a dud of a lathe. It turned out anything but. So here we see there's the live center, and there are the jagged teeth in the side, and those have to get dug into the wood to help give it more grip to turn the wood. So I finally figured that out, and now you're going to see me have a big smile on my face when I realize that I have a ton of power, and that metal is going through that wood like a hot knife through butter, or a hot chisel through maple, and I'm pretty happy. So now I can really start to experiment. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it, but I don't really have a plan at this point. I just want to try several of my different tools and see what it's like when it touches the wood. What happens? What's the difference between an angle cut and variations of angles and a straight cut, and coming at it from different angles and seeing how it works. It's basically my education right now. I'm just figuring it out. So at the end of the day, if I go right through that piece of wood and it's all gone, turns into sawdust, I'm okay with that. And there's thumbs up. I'm pretty happy with what's happening so far. So that's a skew chisel. Everything I've read and heard is that skew chisels can be challenging, and some turners are scared of them. I'm not scared of it. I do realize, though, that it's a skill, and to be skilled at something, you need to practice. So I'm just going to try different things. I'm going to take my time, keeping a light grip with my upper hand. And skew chisels, from what I've learned, can create a very smooth surface on the wood piece that you're turning. So once you get a certain skill level, you can make a cut, and you almost don't even need sandpaper to sand your piece after you're done, because it just has a superior finish with a properly sharpened skew chisel. Now, clearly I'm not there yet. You'll see me go for a couple more minutes with the skew chisel. I had a lot of fun using it, actually. It was challenging, but I enjoyed it. And sometimes apparently skew chisels get caught on the wood. I didn't on this angle, but in a second I'll be switching angles, and you'll see I used a smaller skew chisel, and that was very sharp, and that got cut right into the wood. I had too steep of an angle, too sharp of an angle, I guess, and it cut into the wood, and it actually stopped the wood piece. So that's just something to become vigilant about and pay attention to. So here we go. This is, you're going to see any second now. And I'm readjusting the tool guide, tool rest. These terms don't flow off my tongue yet, but they will. I always think it's fascinating watching the ripples disappear down the line as you make a cut on a piece of wood. Or I guess as I make a cut on a piece of wood now. Now I'm back to a gouge of some type, and this really smoothed things out. If I was trying to make an actual cylinder, like a linear cylinder with an equidistant diameter, I'd probably use something like this, I think. I might think differently later as I get more experience, but right now this seemed to work really well. You can see me rocking the tool. I'm trying to get an idea of how the different angles work. If I want to create a bevel or create like a circle in there or a valley. And at this point I can see how you can just go back and forth and hog out a lot of material if you have a really nice sharp tool, you know what you're doing. So it's still not a cylinder yet. I was surprised at how much I took off without the wood actually turning into a cylinder. It still had some of the flat pieces from the rectangular piece of wood. And I'm not sure if I'm still using a gouge here, if I've moved to a scraper. If that's not a scraper, you'll see a scraper very shortly. I realize now, in retrospect, I should have taken more time as I switched between tools to show them to the camera. So not only could you see what was happening, so could I. Because I don't really remember, to be honest, what did what. Okay, this is a scraper. There's so many different variants of all these tools and different names that I just don't know them. Scrapers, I guess, leave maybe not a rougher finish, but not a smooth finish, so you really need to sand after using it. I didn't do any sanding for my two pieces I worked on today. I think this is a scraper as well, but the bottom part has a couple sharp planes on it. I tried kind of digging into the wood to see what would happen. And if you can't see, I had hearing protection and a face cover mask as well for safety. And this isn't a parting tool, I don't think. This is a, I don't know what it is. And there we go. I guess now I'm a wood turner, if you can call it that. Am I happy with what I did today? 100% happy. My only goal coming out here today was to actually put some wood on the lathe, put some metal to it, and make some designs and practice my skills. I did that. I made a lot of sawdust. I started to give myself a bit of a basic idea of what the different tools do, more so just the practical knowledge. So I've tried the skew chisel, I've tried a roughing gouge, I've tried the parting tool. There's so much more to do and so much more to learn, so much more experience to get, but at least I'm a little bit closer now than I was an hour ago. So I'm pretty happy. These are really messy, really terrible results, but what do you expect? It's okay, I'll get better. This kind of reminds me of a candlestick, so I'm not sure if maybe I'll try making some candlesticks. That seems like a reasonable first actual project to do, so maybe I'll do that. Definitely before I come out here next time, though, I want to come up with a plan. I want to maybe get some ideas and actually come up with a drawing on paper with some dimensions, just so I know with the calipers, you know, where I can go and all the stages I have to take. First thing though, next thing I'm going to do before anything else is I have to get my my tools sharpened. So they're okay today, I think. I think they were fine, but they could be sharper and they could be better. So I have my my grinding solution that I'll break out for the next video. And if you want to watch that and future videos, including I'll be putting up the copying attachment onto the lathe and maybe copying a spindle that I have just to see how well that works. You can always subscribe to the channel and like this video if you like it, and if not, that's okay too. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.